Hey guys, it's Sam, and today I'm doing a discussion on authors continuing their series that were previously finished. So this was actually a topic that was in my Patreon video pick poll. Every month my Patreon supporters get to vote in a poll for a video topic I'll do either on this channel or my personal channel. This actually wasn't the topic that won, but I got multiple comments from people saying that they really enjoyed all of the topics. So this was the second pick, so I figured I'd do this one as well. The first pick is actually probably going to be going up on my other channel, but it's probably not up yet. But maybe it is, but probably not. So I will link my other channel down below, my personal channel, if you want more content from me. If you're interested in participating in that type of poll about my content or any other polls, I do a lot of other things on my Patreon, I will link that on the screen. So this whole authors continuing series thing has been an ongoing trend lately. It's something that's happened with a number of series that I actually really do enjoy, but the reason I want to do an actual discussion was after the announcement of the new Hunger Games book. That is more of a prequel, so it doesn't exactly fall into the same category, but kind of. I've just found that a lot of popular YA series are coming out with continuations to their very finished years ago series. Not only do we have the Hunger Games, but I feel like King of Scars also falls into this with the Grisha trilogy, so yes, you still had the other Grishaverse books. I don't think that Lee ever planned on just stopping with the Grisha trilogy, but King of Scars felt like more of a revival of the Grisha trilogy because a lot of the same characters are in that book, and so that felt more like a continuation of the original trilogy rather than a continuation of, you know, like Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. Also, we've recently had an announcement for another book in the Girl of Fire and Thorns series, which is again a popular and a very favorite series of mine, a trilogy, but it's been done for many years at this point. And we also had Shatter Me come back, which that's one that I will kind of talk about as well, because that was a trilogy and then now it's another trilogy, I believe, added on to the original trilogy. I'm sure there's other examples of this, but those are the ones that I liked the original series. So it's not like, oh, I can't believe they're continuing with series because I hate those series anyway. No, these are all series that I really enjoy, but I still feel ambivalence about. So I think the biggest thing with me and my feelings whenever I hear that there's a series that I love continuing is that I really never quite feel like it's gonna live up to the original. Like, I always have that fear that it's not going to live up to the original series for me, and that's for a number of reasons. The first thing is that once these books get announced, these continuations of series that have been done for usually years by the time that the next book is announced, I am sometimes a different reader, a lot of times a different reader. I'm always evolving in my reading, in my critique of books, in the kinds of books that I like, genres that I want to see, or even just like the reading landscape has changed, so a series that felt fresh before, by the time the next book comes out in this add-on, it might be feeling kind of tropey and overdone at that point. Also, the writer has changed over that time as well, so there can be some kind of disconnect in the writing because maybe the writer has gotten better, usually, at this point, so they might have a slightly different writing style, so it doesn't always feel like it connects super well to the original series. The second thing is that I have a hard time believing that this was always the plan. Usually when these books come out, the author will say like, oh, I always planned on continuing this series or whatever, or they will say something like, you know, I got this idea and it just stuck in my head, etc., which is pretty believable. But whenever an author says like, oh, this was always the plan, I'm like, okay, but like, if it was always the plan, would you have waited 5 years? You know, because like I don't feel the same way about like the continuation of Red Rising, for example, because Red Rising was that original trilogy and then like a year later he announced the next part of the series, so I kind of feel like that was always the plan. There's some other books where it's like, you waited a long time, might have had some not success with venturing away from your series, and now you're going back. And then this is not about any particular series, because this is like, I'm talking about not even just these that I like, but other series that I know have continued. So I always am kind of like, is this always part of the plan? And then there's also the whole idea that I'm probably gonna have to reread the original series. Like, I don't tend to like to jump into continuations of series if I haven't reread the original, because even if I loved it, I've usually like lost some of those initial feelings. I've forgotten some of the plot points that might get tied in, things like that. So I always feel like I have to read the original series again, which is one of the reasons why I have not continued with Shatter Me, because I want to at least reread the last two books in the Shatter Me original trilogy. And I'm also just ambivalent because some people say that like some things have changed. So that's another point that I want to get to in a second. But I feel like the commitment to have to reread a series I've already read and was fine with that's now continuing, I don't love that because I'm not a big rereader. And it's not so much that I don't want to reread them, it's just like I don't want to be forced to reread them at a certain time because of when a book's coming out. The last piece, and almost the most important piece that kind of ties into all of them, is that I always am very ambivalent because, especially with most of these series that are continuing, I liked how they ended. You know, like I'm okay. I'm not someone that always wants an encore, I want to continue. I'm like, okay, I'm fine. You wrapped up pretty well. There might have been some things I wanted to like change a bit, but overall, like that was a completed story arc. If it was a good series that I liked, it was a completed arc in a semi-decent way. So when years later a series is continued, it always I don't tend to like the thought of it. Even before it, because a lot of these books I haven't read the next books in the series, but I don't tend to like even just hearing it, because usually I either was totally fine with the ending and how everything ended up and everything was fine, and now I know that things are gonna get fucked up again with these characters that were fine. I was able to put them away, they were fine in the world, they were good. And now we're gonna mess it all up again. That's kind of how I feel about Shatter Me, and I've sort of heard little things like, don't hint to me, I still plan on reading it, but I've heard little things about like, you know, that certain things have been ruined, and it's just like, particularly with the couple, because that's the reason that I read Shatter Me and that I read Shatter Me in the first place. I don't want that couple to then have hardship and like break up and no, they were together and they're fine. Which is something that I do a lot. Sometimes with even like TV shows, like I used to watch Once Upon a Time, and I stopped when Emma and Hook got together because I was like, I don't want them to break up. So I stopped, you know, I was fine with the arc of them getting together, and I can put them away and they'll be happy. So a lot of times if a series I really like ship something in there, if I hear it's coming back, I'm like, no. Because what you're probably going to lean on for the conflict is romantic conflict, and I don't want it anymore. Also, there's a chance that I could already have headcanons for what happens after, and I don't want that to get messed up by the new information, canon information that you're adding. No, especially if it's been years. I'm like, I don't want that. This sort of comes to mind with some of the King of Scars stuff. Again, I'm not going to go into it because it'd be spoiler territory, but there's some certain things that happen with some certain characters that I'm like, no, I had headcanons for that character. I don't want you to bring them up and here and no. So there's that, and that one doesn't quite count as a whatever. But similar kind of feelings that would pop up potentially with headcanons and things, especially when a series has been done for so long. I am left very conflicted. So let me know your thoughts as well. I always tend to put these continuations off, mostly because of the having to reread things and just feeling generally not okay with everything being upsetting. And at that point I almost want the new series to be finished and then I can binge it so I don't have to live with being re-upset about any plot points or, you know, character conflict when they were fine. I had them in a box, compartmentalized, they were fine. So comment below and let me know your thoughts on series continuing and things like that. Series that have been finished for a while and continuing. This is also, side note tangent, why I kind of at this point don't want J.K. Rowling to write anything else in the Harry Potter world. For a long time I was like, give me Marauders or give me... No, just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. There's fan fiction, just leave it alone. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.